Magalhaes to Stokes, who's onside. 1-0.
Here's Sims. It's a good serve this from Southampton. They could finish the job here. It's Shane Long, and he has done it. Just a minute to play. That's stoppage time. Here's Letizia. Who better to say farewell than one of the finest players ever to wear the red and white.
Hello and welcome to episode 65 of the Saints FC podcast, and I am very, very excited to be sat in Tom Parker's new pad. Tom, thank you for having me.
No worries, John. How was your breakfast?
Breakfast was fabulous.
Good.
For those of you that are wondering, Tom served up scrambled eggs, sausages and baked beans, and not just like 2 sausages or 1 sausage, but 3 whole sausages each and 3 eggs in the scrambled eggs as well.
Don't mess around in this house, John.
No way. You know, as always, a wonderful host and a true gent, I've got to say, Tom. You know, really, really great to be staying here. So it's the Saturday before the end of the football season, and we are together for one full day only. So we have to do our end of season review and awards today, don't we?
Best episode of the year, this one, I think.
It's one of the most exciting ones,
Yeah.
isn't it? Welcome to those of you. If you've never listened to the Saints FC podcast before, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Or if you're watching on the YouTube channel, make sure you hit subscribe to The Ugly Inside, and then you can see and listen to all of our episodes there. Before we do get on to our kind of season review and awards and stuff like that, I think we've got to mention a couple of amazing fundraisers. The first one being Francis Benali.
I thought he was genuinely worried if he was going to die at one point.
Yeah, it didn't look good, did it? I think it was like, after the 3rd Ironman that he ran?
It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there was one bit where they were like, he's finished now and he's going to do a marathon. Like, you know, it was like 7 o'clock at night and they were like, now Franny does a marathon.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
How on earth does anyone... I mean, I could... The swim, I think I'd probably drown.
So it was what, 2.6 miles or something?
Yeah, something like that. Then you got the cycle, 126 miles, which I could do.
You're a keen
but
cycler, though.
I'm very into my cycling,
yeah.
but it would take an awful lot out of me. I certainly couldn't do it after swimming 2.5 miles. And then the thought of running a marathon afterwards, which...
Insane.
Yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to be running a half marathon next Sunday, the Plymouth half marathon, which was a great Christmas present from my sister. I think maybe the worst present I've ever received. Yeah. I'm really not into running, and I've been doing a little bit of training, and every time I'm training, I'm like, why on earth am I not on my bicycle? But then I'm kind of like all upset about the fact I'm having to run a half marathon. In an Ironman, you have to run a whole marathon after a 126-mile bike ride and after a 2.5 mile swim. And most people might do that once in their life. You see people who have like Ironman tattoos because it's like such a momentous thing to get through. And then Benali decides he's going to attempt 7 Ironmans or 7 Ironmen in 7 days. I don't think they've ever had to think about what the plural of Iron Man is, because nobody would ever.
No one's that crazy.
No one would ever do more than one really in one go. But Franny Benali attempted it, and I think he completed 5 Ironmans in the week, with the rest of the Benali Iron Fran team kind of stepping in for the 2 days when he had to. I think the doctors told him, "Don't do it today because you might die."
Yeah. And is it £1 million?
He's raised £1 million for Cancer Research UK.
If you've not donated, people, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Get your wallet out, bump him up again. But total kudos to Saint Benali. I think should be Sir Franny Benali.
Yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be it wouldn't be undeserved, because this is not the first time he's done something completely ridiculous for charity.
No, he's great. I mean, he's done some amazing things, and we're all doffing our caps, although we don't have any caps on. In France, they'd say chapeau, which means hats off. But Franny Benali, total Saints legend. Also, at the moment, the Saints big bike ride is going on. So there's a group of Saints fans.
They're cycling. They set off yesterday. Didn't
They set off from Huddersfield, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
And then I think today they're going Leicester to Reading. And then tomorrow they're doing Reading to Southampton. So you'll get a chance. I know that you're going to be listening to this after the Huddersfield game, but so you've probably already applauded them as they've arrived in the stadium. And I think they've been joined by a few ex-Saints players as well. Yeah,
That's nice. The clubs recognise them, isn't it?
So make sure you sponsor that as well. And then if you've got any money after sponsoring Iron Fran or the Saints Big Bike Ride, I've got a little request for our listeners. So those of you that know me well might know that for the last 2.5 years that we've been running the Saints FC podcast, we've basically been borrowing kit off the EdTech podcast. Who is my wife.
Yeah, not just anyone.
And unfortunately, she can no longer lend me the kit because she's got a team that's growing and that podcast is growing. So I've had to get my own kit now, which we're testing out for the very first time today. And it looks like it's all working. So that's quite good. Had to buy microphones, need to get some headphones, pay for the hosting. All in all, a year of doing the Saints FC podcast costs about 500 quid.
Okay. So that's like your pocket.
Yeah, out of my pocket at the moment. But it doesn't have to be like that, listeners. So if you fancy supporting the Saints FC podcast and helping us continue to produce it, host it, pay for the kit, if you enjoy it and you think Tom and I are worth buying a beer for, we'd accept a beer, but most of you we've not met in person.
We'd love to.
But, we would love to. I'll be at the game Huddersfield, so I might say hello to some of you. Or I might have said hello to some of you. Again, this is the whole problem of putting out a podcast in the future after you've recorded it. But if you do want to donate a little bit to the Saints FC podcast, keep us happy and keep us going, then if you head to www.crowdfunder.co.uk/Saints-FC-podcast. So crowdfunder.co.uk Saints-FC-podcast, and we'll accept absolutely anything. In fact, I was looking at our average listeners for this season, Tom, is now 1,654 listeners per episode.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and quite a few episodes reaching over 2,000 when there's either been a really big story or when we've had some nice big wins. So, if you listen to an episode and you think it's worth a beer or the amount of money that it would cost you to buy us a beer in the pub, then please head over to crowdfunder.co.uk/Saints-FC-podcast and drop us a little bit of dosh there. We'll continue to put this out for free anyway.
Absolutely.
But yeah, just try and help us if you can. So, end of season review and awards. When we did our season preview, it was you and myself and my little brother James.
Yeah.
And he actually has gone and had a little listen back.
James, the sort of the Mystic Meg of football predictions. He got it.
He did a little bit better than we did, I've got to say, Tom. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get up the Excel spreadsheet that my brother has created, and we're going to have a look at what some of our predictions were. So first question was, will James Ward-Prowse have a breakout season? To which you answered, I don't know what a James Ward-Prowse is.
Yeah.
And basically the answer was no.
Sorry about that, James.
I didn't say anything on this for some reason, but my brother said maybe he will find that thing, and whatever that thing is.
He has found it. His
I think
mojo.
He's found that thing.
Well,
Ralph Hasenhüttl has found it, I think, and given it to James Ward-Prowse. So,
I think I was half right because he had a terrible first half. As did everyone.
Well, just he had a typical.
Yeah, James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, but I mean, this season, he's been absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to get up his the James Ward-Prowse stats for this season. Can you remember how many goals he scored this season?
I think he's on
Tom?
8 now.
8 goals
After the Bournemouth game. I might be wrong.
So we're looking at 7 goals in the Premier League, 1 goal in the League Cup.
So 8 goals. So he's not far off top goal scorer. Redmond's on 8, I think. Ings is on maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
But that's great. I mean, and he didn't start scoring until Ralph Hasenhüttl showed up. So
neither did Saints, really.
No, that is true. There's maybe one exception to that. I'm trying to find our Saints goal scorers. Anyway, we'll get onto that later. But let's go through another one of our predictions. So next up, the question was: will Mark Hughes get Saints playing progressive football? And for those of you watching on the YouTube channel, can see that Tom's got his head in his spare hand that he has now. And Tom, your answer was yes. My answer was yes, and my brother's answer was yes. And then I think the unequivocal.
If anyone wants to argue otherwise, please get in touch.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were full of optimism at the start of the season.
We were bouncing, weren't we?
Yeah. And I think we were kind of just, I don't know, blinded by the Manolo Gabbiadini goal, you know, and that positivity. But what we really should have done is actually looked at Hughes' record, because
wasn't that bad, John, at Stoke? 3 8th place finishes, whatever it was.
Yeah, well, at Stoke it was okay until the season that he got sacked. And then with us, he did enough to get us over the line, but that had as much to do with Swansea being...
It was Swansea.
Yeah,
Swansea lost it. Saints didn't stay up. Swansea went down.
Yeah. Yeah, we all somehow expected Hughes, I think, to kind of recreate the kind of earlier Stoke years and the success they had there. And I don't know, what do you think the reason is that we didn't do well under Mark Hughes?
I think the game has moved on a lot, and
so you think Mark Hughes of 4 seasons ago
I think
was
I
equipped
think
for the Premier League?
Yeah, I think football's changed. Well, even if he wasn't equipped, people probably weren't as far away from him as he became. You know, they didn't put the distance between them. There's a really good piece in the Irish Times.
Okay.
And I can't remember the name of the journalist, but it's absolutely fantastic. And he looked at statistically the number. Basically, we're talking about, like, you watch like pundits like Souness. They're like, I don't know why he just doesn't challenge him, put the tackle in.
Yeah.
That's because that's how football was.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you look at it, something like passes in games, the worst teams in the Premier League now make more passes in games than the best teams made 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like this, you know, there's all these incredible stats. The game has totally changed.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Hughes was a bit of a relic.
Yeah. I find it kind of like hard to disagree with that, because having seen, you know, half a season of football under him, I mean, there were times that we looked okay, but things weren't going right for us. But then there were also times when we just looked totally at sea and we didn't really know what to do. And you know, right from the very start, that draw against Burnley at home, you know, Burnley, who had been playing in the Europa League,
Like midweek away.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the theories that I had at the time as well, you know, Burnley are kind of more match fit, and I think that might have been the case. And I think the pre-season didn't help Saints. You know, the trip to China. I don't think we were ready for the start of the season.
We're going to Macau this season, so that'll be a laugh.
Yeah. Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah, he's gone now. He's passed.
Yeah. And then we looked at 3 of our signings. This is before we'd signed Danny Ings, and we said who we're going to get the most goals from: Elyounoussi, Vestergaard, or Armstrong. Tom, you said Elyounoussi. I said Vestergaard, and James said Elyounoussi. So we were all just totally wrong there. Elyounoussi, that was a really big disappointment, wasn't it?
I was there on Saturday at West Ham, and I think the less said about. I mean, he just looks lost. I feel, you know, in many ways, I feel sorry for him a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because he just looks so uncomfortable. And the Saints fans, you know, to be fair, they're on his case, and he must know that. I think he'll be looking for the first route out of Southampton this summer.
You do, yeah?
Yeah, it was just, it doesn't look like he's in Ralph's plans, does he?
No. So I don't think Elyounoussi got a goal this season.
Has he got an assist?
There's a stats I just don't have right in front of me right now.
Nothing springs to mind.
No.
He just looks a bit hapless.
Vestergaard hasn't scored a goal,
which is insane.
Yeah,
but it's our point about corners and Saints.
Yeah. And Armstrong's got 4. So,
Armstrong got 4.
yeah.
Got 2 against Fulham, 1 against Man United.
And another one.
Got another one. Yeah.
So actually, if we go through our top goal scorers, Danny Ings, 8 goals, 2 assists. Nathan Redmond, 8 goals, 4 assists.
This is just Premier League, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
James Ward-Prowse, 7 goals, no assists.
So if this is just Premier League, wouldn't Redmond actually be our top goal scorer? Because obviously you got 2 against Derby.
Yeah. Is it just Premier League?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Ryan Bertram, Manolo Gabbiadini, Lamina, Obafemi, Romeo, Jack Stevens. Gosh, even Jack Stevens has had a goal.
3
this season.
assists from Matt Target.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Considering he's barely played.
Yeah. Pierre Hoiberg. That was a
What
mouthful,
was
wasn't it? Pierre Emil Hoiberg has got 3 assists and 4 goals. Stuart Armstrong, 2 assists. Shane Long, 5 goals, 1 assist. James Ward-Prowse, who you'd expect to be our assist king. No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
What an anomaly.
But lots of goals. Shots on target, 83% of his shots, though. So when he does go for goal,
AWP.
he at least tests the keeper.
Yeah. There's a really good thing about Liverpool, talking about their long shots.
Yeah.
And saying that Klopp really encourages them to take shots from distance
Yeah.
because of the chaos. So he's a big fan, apparently, this idea of chaos. So
Yeah.
you take a shot, you might score. You're unlikely to score. You might miss, or you might cause just a bit of madness in the box.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you who we should be getting to shoot more often. Jan Vannery. 100% of his shots on target. But he's only taken 4 shots.
And what about the weird
but
goal
2 of them have gone in.
Spurs? That was
Yeah.
such a strange finish.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They all go in.
They all count, don't they? So then we're on to, will Saints do better than just survival? And I can't read your answer because unfortunately the spreadsheet is gone. But you said we'll go out looking like we ... No, it's annoying, isn't it?
I don't know what that was.
Hang on. If I copy it and paste it, maybe it'll tell me. We'll go out looking like we can beat any team.
That's how we've ended the season.
Yeah, that's how we've ended the season. But in terms of kind of like, you know, are we going to do anything more than survival? It's not really been like that, has it?
No, I think it's very much just been survival.
Yeah. And I said, solid start, so then we can play young players from the mid-season onwards. We had a bad start and then played young players from the season onwards. And James just had general agreement with the both of us. So, we're kind of all wrong, but I'm going to give you a little... I'm going to, maybe a half
we both
half bit of kudos
half
here.
Point.
Yeah.
Because you were right, we do. Yeah, you were right. We stopped playing young players. Just
Halfway through the
halfway
season,
through the
but
season
for a
when
totally different reason.
yeah,
Just the
when
fact
we're
that our
desperate.
senior players were not good enough. Which is the player that we should be looking out for this season? Tom, you chose Stuart Armstrong.
I still think I'm right on that.
Yeah.
That's still. I mean, he's got a learning curve, hasn't he? Coming
Yeah.
from amateur football in Scotland.
Apologies to our Scottish listeners. James went for Elianusi. Bad choice. And
He's the player to look out for, but not in a good way.
yeah. And I said Ben Narek.
Arguably up there, one of the players of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's in the mix.
Certainly top 3.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that later
Yeah.
on as we go through our awards. Player of the season. You reckoned it was going to be Vestergaard. I reckoned it was going to Gabbiadini, and James reckoned Austin. Well, I think we can safely say that none of those are in the mix to win the Saints FC Podcast
No.
Player of the Year award.
Yeah, Gabbiadini might be, but just not at Southampton.
Yeah. Youth player to establish themselves in the first team. You went for James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, come on. Nailed it. I give with one hand and I take with the other, James.
Although the fact that he's been playing since he was 16 and
got
has like 400
400
appearances
yeah,
for Saints.
ridiculous, yeah.
I'm not sure if we should have allowed you to have that
It's
one.
like when you see like Sterling win Young Player of the Year and you're
Yeah.
like, really?
I mean, wasn't that just a bit of a cop-out so they could give an award to both, Van Dijk and Sterling? Because, both of them have pretty impressive seasons. Although, actually, James Ward-Prowse has only had 193. Not quite 400. We slightly over-egged the custard there.
That's 234.
234.
Oh,
Oh,
is
yeah.
it?
Yeah. 234. But over 200.
How old is he? He's still like 24.
24 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
mate.
he could end up getting like 700 games for Saints.
That's just mad, isn't it?
Madness.
So, I think, yes, he's probably got his name on the team sheet now every week, I'd say.
Safe to say. One of the first names.
But actually, Jan Valery was the real breakout player from the
100%.
youth side.
Thanks,
He's
Mark
been
Hughes.
really, really fantastic. Yeah, Mark Hughes gave him his debut.
Yep.
He looked awful against Cardiff. Do you remember Hasenhüttl's first game?
But they all did, didn't they? To be
Yeah.
fair, I mean, yeah, he looked overawed, but Cardiff away,
Yeah.
relegation, scrap. Must have been quite intimidating.
One of my favourite appearances for Valery this season was actually the game against Liverpool. I thought he was really fantastic in that.
He was exceptional.
And I think, that's the kind of hot... We're very good at doing fullbacks, aren't we?
Yeah, we've had a long history of good. If you go way back, like Jeff Kenner,
Yeah.
Jason Dodd, Simon Charlton,
Yeah. I mean, Jason
Wayne
Dodd,
Bridge.
but he's Bath
What?
City, really, wasn't he?
He was made in Bath.
Yeah.
Obviously Wayne Bridge.
Yeah. Jan Valery now.
Jan Valery. He had a lot of good fullbacks.
Gareth Bale.
Luke Shaw.
Yeah. Callum Chambers.
Less said about that, the better.
And end of season position. You predicted 11th. I predicted 10th. And James predicted 9th. All way off the mark there. And Alexa doesn't even know it either. Saints' top goal scorer. We all went for Austin. Shall I remind you how many goals Charlie Austin scored this season?
It's bad.
3.
I mean, like the Mark Hughes thing, Charlie Austin just seems to be a bit of a relic of a bygone era.
He's an old-fashioned football player, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
clearly talented, but I mean, we had lots of questions over whether, when Ralph Hasenhüttl came in, whether he would kind of fit that mould of the high press. But he has been useful, and he got the winning goal in that game against Arsenal.
He did.
And actually, when he was brought on against Liverpool, he seemed to be one of the most effective strikers against Van Dijk I've seen.
Well, he's got physical presence, isn't
Yeah.
he? He can rough things off a little bit, but I don't know. He's not a high press footballer, is he?
No.
It would have been interesting if Obafemi had stayed fit.
Yeah, I really like Obafemi. I'm not 100% convinced that that Hasenhüttl does.
I think he thinks he did make some comments about him not being professional or something like that, didn't he?
I mean, I wonder what he's been doing to not be professional. We also asked the question, who do you think the top goal scorer in the Premier League would be? And Tom, you went for Aguero. I went for Harry Kane. And James spread his betting by saying one of Aguero, Kane, Lukaku or
So
Salah.
he basically picked the 3 best forwards in the Premier League.
4.
And Lukaku.
And Lukaku, yeah.
And then said one. Very good, James.
Yeah, and well, as of today, which is the 11th of May that we're recording, so we're not counting any goals that might happen tomorrow, but we've got Mohamed Salah on 22 goals, Sergio Aguero on 20 goals, Aubameyang on 20 goals, and Sadio Mane on 20 goals. So,
Got Jamie Vardy up there.
Yeah,
18 goals.
I've got to say, my shout of Harry Kane wasn't too far off. If he hadn't had those injuries, 17 goals with all those injuries, pretty impressive. I think maybe the most impressive... So Salah's been involved in 30 goals this season, if you include his assists, but Eden Hazard has actually been involved in 31 goals this season, 16 goals and 15 assists.
There's only 5 players that have got over 30 combined goals and assists in a season.
I can guess one of them.
Yeah. Matty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, who cares about the other ones? Top 4 of the table. Well, let's go for the top 2 because I think that's the ones which matter. Tom, you thought it would be Man City, then Liverpool. I thought it would be Man City, then Man United. Oof. And James thought it would be Liverpool and then Man City. So, well, it remains to be seen whether you or James are right. Bottom 3. Tom, you went for Cardiff, Watford and Fulham. So wrong about Watford, mate.
Yeah.
They've been brilliant this season.
Steamrollers a lot.
Yeah.
Really, good
Really,
football
really
club.
fantastic. Great football. I really enjoyed the Saints-Watford
That
game,
was
the
one of
1-1. I thought it was
yeah.
like 2 teams playing really good football
Great
outside the
advert
top
for the
6.
Premier League. People
yeah.
talk about, Man City, Man United.
Yeah.
Man City, it's a great advert for the Premier League. No, it's not. Best advert for Premier League is a game like Watford Saints.
Where it's really thoroughly entertaining.
Where it's thoroughly entertaining and they're not even the high-profile teams.
Yeah,
And they're still really
and
good.
it has John Barnes singing at half-time.
Yeah, and that's a goal after 8 seconds.
Yeah, just brilliant. I went for Cardiff, Huddersfield, Brighton.
Far off
Not
there, John.
far off, yeah. Brighton just about got over the line. Didn't anticipate Fulham would be so bad. I thought they spent well.
Well, I think, and it turns out the opposite was true, which is they spent too much, is what people say.
And they didn't really keep the team together that did so well for them. And 3 managers in a season is always really bad news, isn't it? And James, Mystic Meg, as we might have to start calling him now, went Cardiff, Fulham and Huddersfield.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Put a bet on that.
Tom, how did you not have Huddersfield there in your bottom 3?
I just must have forgotten.
Yeah. Do we have hope? The answer was yes, yes, and yes.
Yay.
Well, we definitely did have hope at that point, and I think we have hope at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But there were times when it felt fairly hopeless.
Hope was lost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the hope was just that we'd sack Mark Hughes and replace him with someone better. Who would be our cult hero of the season? Tom, you chose Vestergaard. I chose Gabbiadini, and James chose Armstrong, and I think we can probably say that all of those are wrong. I don't know who I'm going to choose as my cult hero. Let's think about this over the duration of the episode.
I think I've got one in mind.
I have got one in my mind as well, but we'll definitely need to talk about it. Other quotes for bonus points. You said Mitrovic is not a Premier League striker.
I stand by that. Well, he scored goals.
Yeah.
He also has had a tremendous number of shots.
Yeah.
Huge number. Like his ratios are, not good if we're talking Moneyball.
Yeah. Okay.
Having said that, I'd take him as Saints.
Despite the fact he's not a Premier League striker.
Well, I like that he's.
We have a lot of arguably a few strikers that are not Premier League strikers.
I like the fact he's quite nasty.
Yeah. Okay. I chose that Wolves will finish in the top half.
Good.
7th. That was a good shout.
Very good, John.
And James said expect a striker to be signed by Saints before the start of the season. He bloody aced it again, didn't he?
He's got the inside track.
How did he know that Danny Ings was coming to Saints?
He must have someone on the inside of the
He's got
club.
someone inside. And another one that you get a bonus point for is that Jose Mourinho will be fired.
Yay! Good riddance, bad rubbish.
So there we are. Those were our Saints predictions. Some right, some wrong. I think James wins that overall, so I don't know why we don't have him here. He's clearly the brains behind the podcast.
He's just embarrassed, so he's not invited anymore.
Should we get straight into our awards?
Yeah, let's do that, John.
So should we start with cult hero, because we kind of touched on it there.
I'm going for Højbjerg.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because I think you saw something in Højbjerg when the club was really struggling, where they put him forward for the interviews.
Yeah.
And the club obviously felt he's someone who can relate to fans. Yeah. Footballers nowadays don't really seem to be able to relate to fans.
No.
Højbjerg, he clearly felt it. Like when Saints were really in the doldrums, you could see it really. Like when he came out after those games, saying it's not good enough.
Yeah.
He was really honest. And I think now, just watching him tear up trees and score the odd screamer.
Yeah.
He seems to be Captain Marvel.
That goal against Brighton was just an absolute beauty. That's got to be up there for our goal of the season nominations. I was going to choose maybe Hasenhüttl, but I don't think cult hero is not really cult, is it? He's just is he just a full-on hero? I think.
I think cult hero is a bit it's the sort of auteur's choice, isn't it?
Yeah. The other one, you could have the dancing guy.
Love the dancing guy.
So, he dances at the start of every Saints game when we're doing the fireworks and the dance music.
The flames and all that.
But then after Keith Flint from The Prodigy died, obviously playing The Prodigy before, and suddenly his dance moves resonated with the whole country, basically. It blew up on Twitter, didn't it?
It did.
He got national and international recognition.
And good. He's enjoying himself.
Yeah. Do you remember there used to be the big guy who was dancing
at
St Mary's? I think it was last time we were in the Premier League, and he kind of ended up in the match of the day intro bit, where they're showing what's happened to him?
Hopefully he's still around. He's a big guy.
If anyone knows what's happened to the big dancing guy
from
a few seasons ago, if you know him, send him our love. We miss his dancing. Want to see you back at St Mary's doing your moves. Maybe we could get those two guys together.
Dance off.
The Southampton dancing fans of throughout history. And if you were watching Saints before me and Tom, like back in the 1980s or 70s, was anyone dancing back in those days?
Was there like a cult dance hero?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Probably. I guess the players sometimes dance after celebrations. I think if we're
Yeah.
talking about an ex-player, Mikel Antonio's celebration's pretty wild.
He's got some moves.
Yeah.
Still miss Mikel Antonio.
Some which, I mean, maybe that's why Match of the Day is shown so late on the late on in the evening, well, after you saw Mikel Antonio's last goal celebration.
I don't know what he was referring to.
Yeah. What about iconic moment of the season?
Who's your cult hero?
I think I'm going to go with the dancing guy.
You're going to okay.
Yeah, because it's so obscure, left field.
It is so no one predicted that, John.
Yeah, but I think Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is a really good shout because he didn't win the Saints Player of the Season in the Players Awards. Didn't win it in the Fans Awards. I don't know who the Daily Echo chose.
got both.
I think Nathan got both.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Daily Echo have announced their Player of the Season, but I will check it up. And
So you went iconic moment of the season.
yeah,
Do you know yours, John? I know mine.
do you go with yours?
I think the third goal against Bournemouth, because there was so much to like about it, and it was 3 Saints youth players. James Ward-Prowse. It was Danny. All right, Danny's not technically a youth player, but wins that ball back to James Ward-Prowse. James Ward-Prowse, nice little bit of skill.
Yeah,
Out to Valerie. Valerie, he does this. I said it before. He does this great bit of sort of going past the Bournemouth fullback, but he just does enough. And then whips that ball in, and then what on earth is Matt Targett doing there? Get back to where you're meant to be, Matt.
yeah, but Matt Targett has that. Well, he's scoring. Well, we look at Jan Valery gets 100% of his shots on target, scores 2 goals. I think Matty Targett just wants to get in on that.
What was he doing there? For me, that was a great moment. Also, because it kind of exemplified the sort of Ralph Renaissance.
Yeah.
Players that, all right. I know that Hughes gave Valery his chance, but only through injury.
Yeah.
And players that probably would never have got a sniff for the long term under Hughes, because Hughes isn't renowned for his belief in the youngsters. So yeah, that for me was a great moment.
Yeah.
And also, by that time we knew we were probably staying up.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I was thinking maybe one of my most iconic moments would be one of James Ward-Prowse's tackles. So I was thinking maybe the one against Newcastle.
What,
But
foul or
the really bad foul. But then
he didn't
get sent off, and we didn't win the game, so I couldn't really choose that. He did a really bone-crunching tackle against Watford as well.
Did he do one against Spurs as well? He took someone out against. I can't remember.
But you know what? I think actually, if I'm going to go for the reinvented James Ward-Prowse, the iconic moment has got to be when he got Zaha sent off.
Oh yes.
And then there's that
That's it.
There's that picture of him, with his grin, looking at Zaha as he's absolutely losing it, and that's the kind of, and I'm going to swear here, that's the kind of shithousery.
Yes.
That
he missed. He didn't have it before.
Yeah, he didn't have it before, and he's transformed. And I think if you
what
want,
did he do? Did he sort of mimic that he was going to throw the ball at?
Yeah,
Zaha?
yeah, kind of. He kind of held it up as though he was going to throw it in his face,
And he did.
and he lost it. But again, it was from a brutal James Ward-Prowse tackle that
'cause he
Zaha
kind of
lost his
flattened Zaha,
shit.
didn't he?
Yeah, and we won the throw-in rather than him winning the.
That was he got really annoyed.
He got really annoyed about it.
And then James just pushed him, didn't he? A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit of
Just needled him.
encouragement, and then it was just as he was stood there grinning, absolute total wind-up merchant, and so
doesn't he go on to score as well in that game?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Did he score in that
scores.
one?
Yeah, he's playing up right back, and he just comes in and scores.
Yeah, you're right. So I think if you want to choose something that typifies how Saints managed to turn around their season,
I agree.
I think what Ralph Hasenhuttl has done to James Ward-Prowse is almost one of the most impressive things that he's achieved, and that's what I'm choosing as my iconic moment.
That's a great moment, John.
Yeah, all right, well that's it then. It's decided. Best chant or song of the year. See, this one was really easy, a couple of seasons ago.
I mean, still the best thing I've ever heard is Stephen Calvin Davis chant. That was the best one I've ever heard.
Yeah, how does that one go?
That was at the Burnley home game when Calvin Davis came on when Fraser Forster got injured.
Yeah.
And it was Stephen Davis, Calvin. And it was just really good. Go on, John. What's your pick?
I haven't got one from this season.
I struggle.
I think Is the answer must try harder from the fans?
Yeah.
Or is this one where perhaps someone can send in their recommendations? Maybe we can award this one at the start of next season when we do our season preview. Potentially. Most improved player of the season.
It's difficult to choose between Ward-Prowse and Redmond, but you kind of have to pick.
And what about Valerie as well as another nomination in there?
Yeah, but did he really improve? Because everyone really rated him in the I mean, you have to look. I would say on this, you have to look at how did they play in the Premier League last year to how they played this year, and really this year for us is the period from when Ralph came. Cause generally everyone was pretty dire. I would say kind of has to be Redmond.
Yeah, I mean Redmond was transformational this season. James Ward-Prowse has also improved a hell of a lot.
Yeah, but I think I think the difference for me is if we've not got James Ward-Prowse, we can bring in a Lamina or you can bring in an Armstrong.
Yeah.
They're not the same player, but you can bring in someone like Redmond. Without Redmond, we seem to really lack any innovation.
Yeah.
Any kind of threat. Anyone who can do the unexpected.
Yeah.
So for me, Redmond's probably the most important player for Saints.
So we're going Nathan Redmond. I find it really hard to argue against that, but from last season when he was much maligned,
got all that. You got a lot of grief from the fans.
Dogs abuse from the fans is really awful.
And he's turned it round, and Saints fans love him.
Oh, absolutely. Saints fans have voted him Player of the Season with the club and with the Daily Echo, and the players have voted him Player of the Season. So you've got to say Most Improved Player of the Season.
This one, probably the most important one of the lot.
Most Improved Player of the Season.
Yeah, from us.
Yeah. Will he win the big one though? The Saints FC Podcast Player of the Year Award.
That's very exciting.
Who knows? Villain of the season.
John, do you have someone in mind?
I've got a few.
Got a few. Do you want to go first?
Well, normally you choose someone from the opposition. I think we chose Jamie Vardy when he stamped on VVD's foot.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. Last season, I'm not sure who we chose. Maybe Mark Hughes. He was stealing a living as a football manager for us, wasn't he?
Yeah. Is that a little
too
obvious? I mean, if I look at opposition player, I don't know. I mean, just sort of struggling to think.
Doucouré trying to score with his hands again,
which was quite a good moment. I thought.
Because did he win Villain of the Season last season, Doucouré? I can't remember. He may have done.
Horrendous handball.
Yeah,
I liked the way he tried it again.
Yeah,
kudos to him for that. But in terms of general Villain of the Season, I'm going to go for Wesley Hoyt.
Oh yeah, good shout.
Because he is so. What's annoying about Wesley Hoyt is he's clearly got everything.
The first time I watched him was away at Palace a couple of seasons ago.
My God, look what we signed Beckenbauer.
Incredible. The way he was pinging. We would ask, what's the Dutch word for ping? I remember was the question following that episode. Because he just was able to ping it.
Him and Lamina just look like gods.
It just really looked like the Saints FC... the Southampton Football Club kind of scouting network.
Here we go again.
It's such disappointment. And you're right, it's his attitude,
his
which
attitude
really
is the worst.
Yeah.
And his carelessness and his sort of direct contribution to goals conceded. He just didn't seem to wake up.
No.
And it kind of is symptomatic that Ralph got in and just shipped him out immediately. Obviously, I mean, you can only say that's because of his attitude.
Yeah.
It must be. I mean, there's no doubting his talent as a footballer.
No.
But his attitude must have stunk. And didn't he? I mean, you can't read too much into these things, but didn't he do some weird things on social media?
Yeah, he stopped having Southampton on his on his profile page and things like that, and he was blocking he was blocking Saints fans and stuff, which is just why are you doing that?
It or something on Twitter, like an opposition goal against us or something weird.
Just the really stupid stuff that was just absolutely not necessary. Another one which I kind of quite fancy bringing up is and this was kind of I noticed from following Hassan Tariq on Twitter. He's really good Saints fan, but he kind of pointed out that Virgil van Dijk won Player of the Season in the Premier League this season, and he had 17 blocks, 40 interceptions, 35 tackles, 25 of which were one last man tackle, 193 clearances, 108 headed clearances, and 169 aerial battles won. If you compare that
This is fascinating.
to his full season with Saints, so the one before he got injured, the 2015-16 season, 22 blocks for Saints, so 5 more than he's done with Liverpool. 96 interceptions, a full 56 more than he's done this season. 59 tackles over the 35, 44 which is won, which is nearly double what he's won this season. Last man tackles, same. Clearances, 260 compared to the 193. Headed clearance, 160 versus 108. And aerial battles, 163. This season he did improve that. He got 169. So really, if you're going to choose Virgil van Dijk's best season in the Premier League, you choose 2015-16.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because everyone, I know that we don't like Liverpool, but I don't think it's sacrilege to say he's got better players around him.
Oh, much better.
And so why everyone raves? I mean, it is weird.
Yeah.
Like, why everyone raves about him now? Like, it just is strange because Saints fans knew this from the moment he walked into St. Mary's.
The first time he played, everyone knew we've got someone really special. He scored
Stoke
very early on. Yeah, it may have been his debut, maybe the first home game or something like that. Got a header.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to Guardian Football Weekly, and they were just talking about what a beautiful looking man he was. Has it all dynamic.
He's like a thoroughbred racer.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're not meant to like him, but
well, I mean, as a
best
football player, he's
for
wonderful to watch. You know, as a what he did to Saints, it leaves a really bitter, sour taste. If he'd left Saints in the right manner, people would really talk about him in a good way. Yeah, like Sadio Mane, you know.
The good thing is, though, we spend the money well.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Oh, I mean, maybe
Les Reed,
maybe Les Reed as the villain of the season.
Yeah.
Chased out of the club, spending all that money.
For his sort of weird sort of Americanisms.
See, I don't think Kruger you can say is a villain. He's just a little bit misguided, I felt.
Yeah, that's true.
What about our current chairman? Our current owner.
Tan. Is it Tan? Oh,
no, that's the Cardiff guy.
Yeah,
Gow.
Gow.
I mean, there's loads of stuff around him which is like...
He's murky.
Yeah, he's a little bit murky. But I probably don't know enough.
Well, I don't think we know enough yet. This time next year, we'll probably give you a thorough analysis of what's going on.
So who we've got of our nominations here? We've got Mark Hughes, we've got Wesley Hu, we've got whoever chooses Player of the Season, which I think is actually the Premier League players. Yeah. So I don't know if you can make them the villain.
Don't annoy those
but
guys.
like maybe the media for eulogising players that are in the Big Six, when actually, if you look across the Premier League, there's some amazing stuff happening outside of the top 6.
Totally agree.
James Maddison, who we missed out on at the start of the season.
Leicester in general, like Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
What a footballer.
Yeah. I think James Maddison is a really wonderful player. I think Zaha, like, although we've been taking the mick a bit with his sending off and his, he's an incredible football player as well. And loads of really amazing stuff happens outside the top 6, which just never ever gets talked about, and the general media just basically ignore it.
There's two ways of looking at it, isn't there? One is it helps Saints. I mean, you can't imagine that the clubs are looking at the media and go, "Oh yeah, we should this Nathan Redmond guy. He sounds good. We should go and buy him." But also maybe it helps the players as well, because egos seem to be, egos are without doubt a bad thing.
Yeah.
And maybe big clubs can accommodate big egos.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're at Saints, if you look at the players if you'd said at Saints, like, who are probably the 2 biggest egos in the first team squad, or 3 biggest egos, you probably would have said, and I'm sorry, maybe Charlie Austin.
Yeah, Charlie Austin, definitely.
But he's a striker. That's his thing. You would
Mario
have thought...
Lamina.
Mario Lamina was his own hashtag.
The tonic like lemonade.
What does that even mean, Mario?
Mario, can you write in saintsfcpodcast@gmail.com and explain what the hell is your hashtag about?
Mario, it's not. I'm not a marketing person. It's not working, Mario. It's not. You need to get a new hashtag. I would say.
Should we look up the tonic like lemonade
let's see
hashtag on Twitter?
Let's see how it's engaging.
See how it's going.
I think you'd have said like ego players, Suarez. Cedric, all this sort of preening photos of himself.
He's had another one out recently as well.
I think there's that.
Do you want to know how many tweets there are with the tonic like lemonade?
There's got to be more than that, John. Because
no, that's it. There's only one.
But that's what not. But what about Mario Lemina's own tweets?
Well, I think he's more of an Instagrammer. Should we get this on Instagram? It's all just going to be.
But I would have said like the two biggest egos, Hoyt and Cedric.
Yeah.
You just knew Hoyt, like, so good looking.
Yeah. Tonic like lemonade. Here we go.
So let's see.
So we have got a few more.
Few bits of engagement.
He spells lemonade wrong. That's where I went wrong.
Oh yeah, because he spells it like
yeah, like his surname.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I mean, it is mainly Mario Lemina posts of his self. The hashtag hasn't really kind of caught on, has it? Ain't working, mate.
He could be off ski, couldn't he?
Yeah, and maybe that's not a bad thing, because I think we could still get money for him.
And he's clearly, I love him when he's good.
Yeah,
he's
very,
great.
very good. And when he's bad,
he's not like lemonade.
No. So for the season, I'm going to give you the shout on this, because I don't think my suggestions were any good. So, what is it? Les Reed? Wesley who?
I'd go Hoyt.
Hoyt, okay.
Just because he just doesn't. He's just so callous.
Yeah, doesn't care.
And also he looks a bit like a bad guy.
He might be coming back,
Oh,
I can't imagine it.
Can't imagine that.
No. Hero of the season.
Can only be one.
Yeah.
King Ralph.
That's easy, but obviously the whole point of having an awards thing is to talk about it. Obviously, we're not going to have a debate on this, but should we talk about why he's our hero? Do we need to say any more? I guess he probably gets about 10 minutes on every show of our love and adoration, doesn't he?
It's difficult. I mean, look, everyone knows it's so obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious what he does. Like, he's connected with the fans.
Yeah.
First and foremost. Like,
Yeah.
Gary on a beer. I know that's kind of. I know it's not out of his pocket, but like.
Well, I don't know. I think it wasn't it?
It's a great gesture. Either way, it shows the people. He's got a people person.
Yeah.
And I think even like
So I mean, and Ralph then joins a very exclusive group of Saints-based organisations or people that have given people free beer. Because the only other one's the Saints FC podcast.
Yeah,
with
that's
our beer
true.
52.
Yeah, you're right. Wait, that's something we've got in common with him.
Yeah, us and Ralph.
But there was photos of him recently. He did like a community day.
Yeah.
Did you see those photos when he was like in a soft play or something?
Yeah.
He
He just
looks
gets
like
involved, doesn't he? He was going down that little slide at 0 miles an hour.
He just looks like a good guy, and I think the players clearly love him. And have genuine affection for him.
Yeah.
Saints fans probably haven't had a manager they've liked this much, probably since Atkins.
Yeah. What about
Atkins.
Pochettino?
Did anyone really?
I guess he was a lot harder to relate to because he never spoke in English.
Yeah, and you always got the feeling with Pop that Saints was very much a stepping stone.
Well, I don't know. I think Poch was in it as long as Cortese was in it, because Cortese had the big plans to get Saints playing in the Champions League, and it was a project, and I think Pochettino was interested in the project.
And when Spurs comes up, you're not going to take that job now.
But it was after Cortese left as well. It wasn't just that Spurs came sniffing and he went. He already, as soon as Cortese left, he was considering his position.
Yeah, but I think Ralph is, he's got Saints fans like to see young players, and they like to see a high press.
I like to see players playing with heart.
Yeah, and
passion.
he does all three things.
And he's, as well, kind of after Claude Puel and Pellegrino, like a man with so much passion and personality.
Real
it's just
bureaucrats,
wonderful to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that is crazy, isn't it? With talking about Pochettino, he left us for Spurs. Since then, we've had Ronald Koeman, who did fantastically well for Saints, but
brilliantly well.
Left at the first sniff, which was...
And also left to go somewhere a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ronald, if you're listening, but you could have done better.
Yeah, he could have done better than Everton. I always thought he'd leave for like the Barcelona job.
I think that's what he thought as well.
Yeah.
Is his number plate like Barca or something like that?
Yeah, probably. He's now doing a pretty good job as the Dutch national manager, so maybe there's a bit of a revival there. So we had Ronald Koeman, Claude Puel, 1 season.
Poor Claude.
Pellegrino, not a full season. Mark Hughes, not a full season. And now Ralph. So that's 5 managers. And Pochettino's been at Spurs the whole time.
And now he's in a Champions League final.
Yeah. Goal of the season. I mean, there's loads to choose from here, aren't there? I mean, there's...
Yeah, we've scored some real raspers.
Yeah. One of the best ones I was in the stadium for was the Højbjerg, Cuco Martina copy against Brighton.
I think it's hard to look past that one.
But the frustrating thing with that is, like, goals... Last season we chose Gabbiadini for goal of the season.
Did we? Oh,
Because
of
the meaning.
But this is the great, isn't it? Because there's a good school of thought that what if people say what's the best goal of all time?
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you can score some worldie in the third round of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
It's great. But what really matters is when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
The top
Who's doing
players,
it?
and like Zidane's volley against Leverkusen in a Champions League final.
Yeah.
That's because that goal.
Yeah, or the Steven Gerrard one against West Ham in the FA Cup final.
Those are great goals in and of themselves, but the best players lift themselves up for the big occasion.
So I think if we're going for that, I mean, also you've had a screamer from Jan Vara against Man United, but ultimately we lost the game. James Ward-Prowse again, fantastic free kick against Man United, but lost the game. Wow. But James Ward-Prowse against Tottenham Hotspur, which won the game.
Also, it's again, it comes down to pressure, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
what about Shane Long's goal?
The record goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad shout for goal of the
season.
It
was a great finish. Dink little finish. I would say I agree. I think it's hard to look past the Brighton goal in terms of sheer technique.
My only problem with the Brighton goal is that Cuco Martinez was better.
Were you there for Cuco?
Yeah, I was.
I would go. I mean, I would maybe go a slightly different goal.
No, you know what it was last season? Must have been the Buffal goal.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a goal.
That was a hell of a goal.
My goal of the season, John, and it's just my personal preference, is Brighton away.
Brighton away.
Højbjerg.
Yeah, that was a good goal.
Because it featured 3 players doing what they're really good at.
Yeah.
So you had Højbjerg with the press, wins the ball back, one touch pass from Armstrong, releases Redmond.
Yeah.
Redmond with a mazy run, gets defenders a little bit worried, and then a lovely reverse pass, and then a beautiful dinked finish from the man who started it all.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it back because I think before we need this,
it's not available in your location.
Of course, it's bloody not, isn't it?
The Americans have stopped you.
Yeah, there's another villain, the Premier League, blocking everything. So I mean, can you believe when they sent those guys to prison?
Does seem a little bit much
over the top. Oh no, see, this is just the this is the whammo.
This is the writing. What I mean, you can't shoot from there, Pierre.
I don't know. I think we're not. I'm not going to be able to watch it because like YouTube is banning us and all of this stuff.
So good at stopping that content.
I don't know. I think
it's your podcast, John. You have the final call on this.
I want to go for the James Ward-Prowse goal against Tottenham.
I think it's a fair shout because as well, like it's the pressure, isn't it? At home, 77 minutes gone.
Yeah, but then is a dead ball worthy of winning goal of the season? Because you're
against the World Cup winning goalkeeper is another reason why.
And Champions League finalist, and Saints coming from behind to win. That doesn't happen very often. No, I mean, I've written it down.
I think you're right.
James Ward-Prowse versus Tottenham.
Yeah.
Young player of the season.
Jan.
Well, it's Jan, isn't it?
Has to be Jan. I mean,
or Bednarek or Valerie.
Bednarek or Valerie. Or, if you're the
or
FA.
Should we just say young player of the season, Jan, and have them both?
We could probably have Redmond according to the FA's weird age rules. I think that it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with Valerie.
Yeah.
Is he going to turn... Because he's not quite a... he's got all sorts of different things in his locker.
Yeah.
He's not quite a sort of little wing back because he's a big guy.
No.
So it'll be really interesting to see what he ends up doing. He's just actually a really good old-fashioned right back.
Yeah.
Really exciting player, and great Saints to get him on a new long-term contract.
So look, my problem is if we choose Jan Valerie, that means we've got player of the season next. So I think Bednarek's, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But you might not win it, and then would it be fair to go through this whole awards thing without giving Bednarek an award.
You do love Jan Bednarek.
I do.
Great hair.
Yeah.
Um,
I think you're right. I think Jan Valery is our young player of the season just because it's a breakout season and he's been so impressive. I think he's given so much more than perhaps we expected.
and as well, what's great as well is he's our right back.
Yeah.
We don't have another right. We got one other 18-year-old right back, haven't we? Kane Ramsey. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And he has really stepped up.
So Jan Valery, congratulations. You
Well
are the
done.
Saints FC podcast
Highlight of
young
your
player
season,
of
no
the year. Player of the season. Now's the big one, Tom. I think we should choose 2 players each and talk about why they should be considered.
Okay, can we have the same 2 players, or do you want us to go 2 different players each?
Well, let's just choose 2 different players each.
Okay.
And then I think we'll talk about all of them. So Nathan Redmond, who's currently got the clean sweep of Daily Echo, Saints player and Saints Fans player of the year. So he's obviously in there.
Has to be there, John.
James Ward-Prowse,
Absolutely.
Jan Bednarek,
And Højbjerg,
and Højbjerg.
I would say, have to be the
Those are our 4. Should we start from the bottom? Højbjerg.
Yeah, I just think he's a real captain, isn't he?
Mm.
Like a real old school captain that galvanises people,
Yeah.
that lifts up the fans, that clatters into every challenge, maybe a bit too much. At
Scored
times.
2 goals that made it
Scored
into
2,
our
yeah.
shortlist for goal of the
And
season.
has contributed a fair number, of 4 goals or something this season. He's a real captain. You can see that the players look to him. He's a leader. I think he's the sort of player that probably scares other teams a little bit,
Yeah.
because he's got a lot in his locker. He's got a great goal against Man City.
Yep.
He's really good. I mean,
4
what else do you say? I mean, he's just really good.
4 goals, 3 assists, which has been a useful contribution from midfield. He's worked hard the whole season. He's given it everything.
And he's fronted up when things have been bad.
Yeah.
He fronts up.
He's a proper leader.
Yeah.
But he can't win player of the season, Tom,
Oh, okay.
because the sending's off.
Yeah. So what we had
2
3.
Is it 2 or 3?
You said last night in the pub that it was 3, and I think it's 2.
Yeah.
He got sent off for diving, which, if you want to sum up like Mark Hughes' time at Saints, it's probably our most honest player getting sent off in a home loss against Leicester for diving.
Yeah. Let's have a little look. Premier League, it's saying 1 red card. That's not right though, is it?
I don't think that's right. He got sent off again, didn't he?
He got sent off against Man City.
Yes, he did at the end, which was a really stupid thing to do, actually.
And then he had the 3-match ban.
We had a 4-match. He had a 4-match.
4-match ban because it was his second
sending.
sending.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Sorry, Pierre.
Pierre, if you get through next season, contribute a few more goals and assists, and try not to get sent off at vital points of the season, then
We'll talk.
Then we'll talk. Bednarek. See, I think
You're a
Bednarek
huge fan.
has had like a really fantastic season. In a season when our defence has been so shoddy, he's often been the one that has looked like he's made last-ditch clearances, blocks and everything. But again, he's probably not. I don't think we can say that he is the player of the season because he's been really good.
He's arguably defender of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, like he gave Saints a lot of stability, didn't he, when we desperately needed it.
Yeah.
And he does seem to be fairly unflappable. And bear in mind, he's playing alongside some real clowns.
Yeah.
In that centre back position.
Yeah.
He's probably like the only. I mean, I love Yoshida, but I would say Bednarek's probably our only centre back you can actually really trust.
Yeah.
Because even Vestergaard does some stupid stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he's 46 tackles, 187 clearances, 76 interceptions, 91 headed clearances, 149 recoveries, 134 duels won, but also 127 duels lost.
There's no Van Dijk in the air.
Yeah.
There he is. Look, I think he's great.
Aerial battles won 81, aerial battles lost 76. So, he's not quite there yet, is he?
But he's only young. He's 23.
He's on his way, I think, to becoming one of the. Yeah, he's going to be remembered really well. Is he 23? Yeah.
Yeah.
God, he's a little bit older than I thought. But I guess, he's got that, like, choir boy face, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a face your mother would love.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also he gives 100%.
Yeah.
And like I say, he plays, we've got a lot of players in those centre-back positions who make errors.
Yeah.
Yoshi's actually kind of cleared up that side of his game.
Yeah.
But Stevens has stepped up to the plate manfully in that sense.
James Ward-Prowse, our next nominee.
Yeah.
He's already got goal of the season and he's got the most iconic moment. So
Yeah, a hat trick. I think everyone loves James Ward-Prowse. And also, like, this is the time for me to absolutely admit that I was absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
I was a big critic. But I think a lot of my criticism was born of the fact that he clearly, like, you criticise players if they're not very good. Like, James Ward-Prowse clearly is a really good footballer.
Yeah.
He just needed to apply himself.
Yeah. James Ward-Prowse, really good football player. He's now applying himself much better. But the problem is, first half of the season, he was the James Ward-Prowse of old. And I think there's only one player that we can say that has been good all season long.
Agree.
And it's Nathan Redmond.
Yeah, what a guy.
He's been fantastic this season. What he did in the summer to go off and work really hard, take himself to America and give himself a proper pre-season, a better pre-season than Mark Hughes gave the Saints squad. He came back and he looked like the only player prepared for the Premier League.
I think as well as physically. I mean, it's sort of the America thing's been talked about a lot, but I wonder if there was more to it than the physical side in America.
Oh,
I
definitely.
wonder if he had like some sort of mental, because obviously he's always been super fit. He's a professional athlete, but like mentally, he seems to be so much stronger.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what they did to him in America.
I think he must have had counselling
Yeah.
to help deal with it, because he was getting dogs abuse from the Saints fans, sometimes unjustly. I'd even heard people suggesting that Saints fans are kind of like picking on him because of his race and like, which I think maybe you stand out more. I don't know. I don't have
There's
like
the
much
whole
in
Raheem
that.
Sterling thing, the young mixed race, successful young guy. People talk about that. I don't know. I just think people get frustrated because these clearly had so much talent.
Yeah.
And also I think, and this is something Saints fans and probably all football fans are guilty of, we did it with Tadic.
Yeah.
Where, because like you get that thing where like certain footballers need, like in a team of 11 players, you need to have one or two guys that are willing to try and do something different.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, like it's just not going to work. And the inevitable fact is when you try and do something different, unless you are like a Zidane or a Ronaldinho, a lot of those things aren't going to work.
No, but I genuinely think if you look at the stats of some of the top players, people like Messi, people like Aguero, people like Sterling, they try more take-ons than anyone else, and they fail more take-ons than anyone else.
They pick themselves up
but
and they go
they pick them up and they go again. And like, if it doesn't work this time, maybe it'll work next time. If it doesn't work next time, I'll try it again. And Nathan Redmond he's our biggest threat.
Yeah, I mean, the West Ham game on Saturday, which was awful, we only looked like a Premier League team once Nathan Redmond came on. Yeah. Like, he totally changes the game because he gives defenders something to worry about because you don't know what he's going to do. Yeah. He's got a really intricate, a great range of passing, but his sort of intricate one-touch play. Yeah. And then his pace off of that is fantastic. And I think, like he's really turned himself around.
So I'm going to pick on one of our regular listeners here who writes in. He's called Edward Marsh.
Interesting guy.
Yeah. He's one of our top kind of like defense experts and security correspondents that listens.
Yowzers.
Yeah, national security analyst. So he kind of he thought that everyone going for Nathan Redmond was wrong. He actually thinks that someone else should win Player of the Season. I'm not too sure who he's going to choose here, but his question was, whose name would concern you the most if it was missing from the team? And he thought that was going to bring a different result from Nathan Redmond. He felt like that was the thing that would show us who the Player of the Season is. And he ran a little poll with the 4 players that we've just mentioned, who are the 4 obvious ones for Player of the Season. And Nathan Redmond won this one as well.
Yeah. Redmond,
Rightly so, I think.
Like if you think about it, we're quite one-dimensional.
Yeah.
You know, Redmond gives you something else. Like, you know what Shane Long's going to do.
Yeah.
You know what Danny Ings is going to do. Redmond gives you just something a little bit spicy.
Yeah.
And you know, he's great to watch.
Yeah. Edward Marsh's thing was that he thought Bednarek would win this one because he thinks that he's more vital, that you'd be more worried about Saints losing if Bednarek's not in the side.
Yeah, I think we're almost like you can't lose 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
You know, with Saints. So like if you think our first choice 3 centre backs are Bednarek, Vestergaard and Yoshi. Like 2 of those 3 is fatal. You know, losing 2 of the 3 is fatal for Saints. And but Bednarek, I mean, you can argue that without Bednarek we're more likely to concede goals. But I do think that without Redmond, the ball just comes back at you a lot faster.
Yeah. So anyway, there we go. Nathan Redmond, congratulations!
Well
not only
done.
Players Player of the Season, not only Fans Player of the Season, not only Daily Echo Player of the Season, but you've won the big one.
The one that matters.
Yeah. Saints FC Podcast Player of the Season, Nathan Redmond. Congratulations, my man. Wow, what a season from him.
Yeah. And what a joy to watch. And I hope he really, takes it on and kicks on next season.
Yeah.
Get in that England team, Nathan.
Yeah.
Jesse Lingard.
Keeps on pushing. He'll get there, I think. Any other awards, Tom, that you've thought about that we didn't have yet?
I don't know. I mean, I would say.
Do we need to have the Jan Bednarek Award just so that he can win?
So he wins something. Yeah. Go on then, have that. Who's the best young Polish centre back we got?
But that just sounds like a bit mean. If we give him an award for best young Polish centre back,
look, you've got to keep these guys. You've got to keep him hungry.
All right. Well, Jan, you came close this time, but you've not won it this season. So better luck next year. Keep pushing. I'm going to go back to Edward Marsh because he sent in an email as well, which I thought was quite interesting in terms of where he thinks Saints are now and where he thinks we could be going in the future. And the title of the email is "Don't Make the Same Mistake Twice." He says, "Gents, I've finally cracked and decided to put down the security analysis and drop a note in on Saints."
I hope nothing bad happens.
Yeah. If anything goes wrong,
it's our fault.
Yeah. Last few years have, as we all know too well, have been difficult. However, Saints need to learn from recent history, as this is a pivotal moment. The opportunity to do something different, dare I even say special, comes around once in a generation at best for a club like Saints. Under Koeman, we're on the verge of that special time. A team growing in stature, Fortress St Mary's, world-class players, a brand expanding globally, and then we bottled it. Funds were restricted, wages not met, and a fire blanket was thrown over what happened, over what appeared imminent seat at the table of the top 6, and everything evaporated within a single summer. This summer represents another opportunity to propel the team and the club forward again. Maybe not to the same dizzy heights, but forward nonetheless. It's a staggering thought, but we are unlikely to challenge teams such as Bournemouth, Brighton, Watford, Leicester, Wolves, etc. in the transfer market. So the club must be shrewd. It must act quickly, and it must back the manager. If we're not going to spend, we're not going to ever join the top 6. Not many will. We need to have a very clear quality. Then we need to help the very clear quality of manager whilst we have him. So, really back Ralph whilst we've got.
Back Ralph.
He says the future could be bright, but at some point you have to really sit down as a club and ask yourselves, what is the point of Southampton Football Club? Do we exist just to supply fixtures and players to bigger clubs, or do we want more? The time and the choice is here now, and I really hope we don't make the same mistake twice. Your running and avid listener, Ed.
A lot of good points, and I agree. We're gonna ship out a lot. I mean, I imagine our wage bill is where the problem is, because we don't seem to have a problem spending money on players.
Yeah.
But we've now accumulated a lot.
Our squad is enormous, isn't it?
And we've got a lot of dead wood. I mean, if you look at, I'm just guessing here, but Boufal, Carrillo, and Hoyt, all on loan at lower league Spanish teams. What's that in wages a week? I bet you that's north of £150,000 a week, easily. Yeah, in wages, and I bet you we're paying all of their wages.
Yeah. We've got 4 goalkeepers,
3 of which you could argue are good enough to play.
I think you need to lose one of Alex McCarthy or Fraser Forster. So you got Harry Lewis as your youth goalkeeper that you're trying to train up, Angus Gunn as your number 1, and then choose one of McCarthy or Forster as your number 2.
Yeah, I would go with McCarthy.
Yeah.
Forster looked shot against West Ham.
But we've not had a better goalkeeper than Fraser Forster since Anthony Niemi.
True.
In terms of like...
But Forster's no longer the player he was.
Yeah.
It's sad. But yeah, he could find it again, but he's not going to find it at Saints.
Yeah. We've got a handful of centre-backs.
None of which, well, only a couple of which you probably really rely on.
I mean, if we're going to go to the 4-2-2-2 formation, which Ralph likes and has played previously,
I'm not a fan.
We need to, I think...
2 really good centre-backs.
Yeah. I mean, either Yannick and Jan need to go off and have, I don't know, the same treatment that Nathan Redmond had, and come back stronger, more able to...
I think Yannick, Yannick, it must be a good player.
Yeah.
Like, my guy I work with, Tobias, huge, lives in Munich, is German, watches all the German football, said, Vestergaard, one of the best centre-backs in Bundesliga. So, Bundesliga is not a Mickey Mouse league.
No.
So he must be really good.
Yeah.
Maybe we got give him more than a first. I mean, the Premier League's a pretty difficult league, first season in.
Jack Stevens, I think you either need to reinvent yourself as in a different position.
Yeah, you've got to be Jack. You've got to be a defensive midfielder.
I think it'd be great
if you're listening.
He's fantastic ball playing.
Yeah.
Really skilled. Alfie Jones, you obviously got potentially coming through. Kane Ramsey coming through. Midfield, we've got Romeo, we've got Lamina, we've got Ward-Prowse, we've got Højbjerg, Armstrong, Elianusi,
I don't think we're
Tyreek Johnson,
blessed,
Callum
though.
Slattery, Josh Sims.
Yeah, but I don't think we've got too many midfielders.
No.
Because if you think we've got Romeo, Højbjerg, Ward-Prowse, that's probably your first choice 3. And then you've got kind of Armstrong to come in as a flair player.
You've got Buffal and Classy out on loan.
Yeah, I mean, Classy, I don't think you'll ever see him
No.
switch. I mean, that's another player, big wages.
What about Harrison Reid? He's out on loan as well.
Harrison Reid, we huge fans of him on the pod. Get him back.
Yeah.
I think with Ralph, you'll see them all come back.
Yeah.
And they'll all do a full pre-season.
Yeah.
And then he'll just pick.
Forwards, Redmond, Sims, Long, Austin, Gallagher, Ings, Obafemi.
Yeah. I mean, we lack a really good forward, but there aren't many really good forwards, and really good forwards cost a lot of money.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do we do then if we're looking at, let's say Ed sent that in to Mr. Gow. What does Mr. Gow now have to do to help Saints step up again, start pushing towards that top 6-7 clubs? I mean, you look at Wolves and Everton and Leicester. They've all spent huge amounts of money.
Yeah, people talk about Leicester like Maddison. Everyone's like, Maddison's great. Maddison was like 24 million quid or something.
Yeah.
They didn't pluck him from obscurity. He was by far the best player in the Championship. So it's tricky. I don't know. I mean, I think they've got to clear out a lot of the deadwood, which is the first thing, and have a squad of young, hungry players rather than older.
And I wonder actually if we need to
journeymen.
start going around poaching other people's 18, 19 and 20-year-olds who we think are maybe a little bit more talented than some of the 18, 19, 20-year-olds that we have, because Ralph can clearly do something with a young player. But I think, if we have an old hat, unless he's kind of played that high-pressing type of football, it's going to be hard. Yeah. Shane Long works with that.
Shane Long works.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get rid of Shane Long.
Yeah. Okay. So you've heard us. Let's push on. We're going to do that. We agree with you, Ed. Also, a little bit of an apology from Duncan Alexander. We were supposed to be interviewing him yesterday. He's the stats guy. We had him on last season.
Man.
Funny enough, with the Man City game, the Liverpool game and the Tottenham game, he had an awful lot of work to do this week and couldn't come onto the podcast. But he has said he's going to come on again maybe at the start of next season. So that would be quite interesting to get him in. But he wanted to send a little apology out to the listeners for not being with us for this episode. Tomorrow's the last home game of the season at Huddersfield. I'm really excited about going, but you're not going, Tom. You're going to see John Ronson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I said to my wife earlier, hopefully he'll have Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars with him.
Yeah.
She didn't think that was very funny.
No.
I'm looking forward to that. It's a
So
podcast about pornography.
People who don't know about John Ronson, podcast about pornography. What
Welsh
else?
journalist. He's a fascinating man.
Yeah.
He wrote The Men Who Stare at Goats. He wrote a brilliant book called Psychopathy Test. He wrote an even better book called So You've Been Publicly Shamed.
I thought the Psychopathy Test was better than So You've Been Publicly Shamed.
These are all,
yeah.
He's got a great podcast. Another which is called The Last Days of August, which is about a porn star called August Ames. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But is it better than Huddersfield at home? In case my wife's listening, I won't say anything.
I hope not, because I'm hoping that we're going to have a fantastic last day of the season. We're all going to enjoy ourselves.
Got to be an improvement on West Ham, John.
But yeah, anyway, there's our reading recommendation for you. The Psychopath Test by John Ronson is the one that I'd go for. Tom suggests So You've Been Publicly Shamed, which is interesting. It's all about social media and how things can be taken, how a bad joke can end your career. I bet Danny Baker wished he'd read that book.
He's down the road, so I might go and ask him.
Yeah. So once again, just a little reminder about our crowdfunder campaign. So if you want to help support the Saints FC podcast, we would really, 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 really appreciate anything that you can potentially give to us. So that email address, web address again, is www.crowdfunder.co.uk/Saints-FC-podcast. If you can't afford it, don't worry. Don't back it. But if you think what we're doing is worthwhile and you enjoy it, please consider giving us a little bit of cash. Once again, thank you very much for listening, everyone. We really appreciate seeing those kind of download numbers coming in. We appreciate it when you tweet us at Saints FC Podcast, when you comment on Reddit, when you comment on the YouTube videos, and we love it when you send us an email. So if you want to hear your points being discussed on the Saints FC Podcast, do that, saintsfcpodcast@gmail.com. But for now, it's cheerio.
Goodbye.